All right, so this is a 2-screen, 2-projector package. This is the stuff shipped in, 2 projectors, and then these are AV stump-full screens that come in 3 containers each. There is a dress kit, there is a frame with the surface, and there is a kit for the legs. So 3 cases times 2 for 2 screens. That's a pretty common way that they're packaged. And then 2 lenses. Lenses usually come packaged separately. Some companies may package a lens with the actual projector. So that's what needs to be opened up and QC'd. And so these are the lens kits. This is a pretty common type of packaging for lenses. And first thing that we notice is that there are no lens caps. That is not as important as it would seem. I think it's important, but not everybody pays that much attention. But what we do see is that we have no caps in either lens kit. And that is something that we are going to note so that we don't get charged for those, or somebody says, where are they? The other things we're going to look at, which may or may not read on camera, is checking the glass of the lens. Sometimes they will be dirty, but they shouldn't be. But one of the main things we want to look for is cracks, breaks, scratches. You can actually see all the way through the barrel on camera there and see that that's in good shape. And of course, look for, this has a multi-pin connector that connects to this projector. And we look for things like bad pins or missing or torn wires or things like that. And one of the last things is, it's always good to look at an order and see what lenses were supposed to be shipped or pulled for the job and make sure that they are the right ones. I've already looked and I know that these are the right ones. And we did get 2 of the same lens. So that is good. Sometimes you may get 2 lenses per projector because of unusual things on show site that you want to be prepared for. But in this case, this job is pretty straightforward and we've got 2 lenses with no lens caps. And so the last thing we do is we mark the case so that on show site, everyone knows there's no lens cap, and we can let our vendor know that we received them with no lens cap, so nobody gets charged for things that weren't delivered. Next, we'll look at our projector packages, and I've already opened these up, and there's a few things that we look for. So we have 2, and right off the bat, I noticed something, and that is that this projector, this is the lens port where we mount the lens. This has no cover, and this does have a cover. I did actually pull the projectors out of the case and look underneath. And the other things that we can see there that I'm looking for are the remote and power cord. There may be other things. In this case, there's some rigging bits. We're not flying these, so we don't need that, but it's good to know that they're there. And some companies might send software on USB keys or something with their projectors. So we look for things that are missing like that, as well as these are in flying cages. You may or may not always get projector with a cage. That is how these are delivered. And one thing to check when getting it from the vendor or pulling it off the shelf before sending it is that the projector actually is mounted in the cage. You can see here, I'm lifting up the cage. The projector is attached. Now, for years, I did not worry so much about that until I was delivered projectors that were not mounted to the cage, which we discovered when we went to fly them, and the projector proceeded to slide off of the cage because it was delivered to us unmounted. That should never be the case, but Since it can happen once, it could happen again. So, checking for port covers, remotes, and power cords at the minimum, and looking for other signs of damage or other things. And so when I close these up, we are going to label one of these as no port cover, and we are going to add that to the information we give to our salesperson from whom we rented these, so they know that it was shipped that way. All right, and moving on to screen kits and the pieces that come with them. So the first thing we have here is the dress kit. The dress kit in the world of Stumpful screens and in most screens is going to be a kit of hardware and drape pieces that go around the screen. And I'll put up a shot of an assembled screen here so you can see the pieces that go around the screen. And so what we have in this kit, first of all, behind there you see a little plastic separator that you can use when I put everything back in. I put the hardware in the bottom and the plastic separator, and then the soft goods on top. We have a skirt which goes under the screen, snaps onto the bottom, and goes down to the ground. And then we have two pieces of drape that are the side pieces or wing arms, and you see the hardware. There's two pieces there. These will slide into the ends of parts of the frame, and then the wing arms will, the drape will snap to that and hang down on the sides. And then lastly, we have a top valance piece, which is a short, wide piece of drape that goes along the top of the screen, and the valance bar. That unfolds and all locks into one piece, and you see right here, that is a support that goes in the middle between the screen frame and this valance bar to keep it from sagging in the middle. This is a 9x16 screen, 16 feet wide, and so when you get up to these larger sizes, there will be additional support pieces to keep things square and from sagging in various areas. Now you'll also see, this is kind of cool, not every vendor does this, but you see colored tape, blue, brown tape there. That usually matches. See right down here, here's blue tape, and then over here, here's brown tape. And the point of that is it makes it much easier, you know which side is which, because things do have to go together a certain way, left and right and things like that. So this is a complete dress kit, and we have another one there that I will open up in QC, but this is what you should find. And different manufacturers will give you different things, particularly in the hardware. These all sort of snap together and lock. These hinges, if you look here, have latches and they lock and unlock by pressing those. Some require screws and wing nuts to put things together. So you'll want to know how those things should be put together when you QC a kit to make sure that you have all the parts to be able to build it. All right, now we get to where the rubber meets the road, or the light meets the sheet, as it were. So this is a screen, frame, and surface kit. These are going to vary a lot depending on the manufacturer. We like these AV Stumpful for a number of reasons, but you may find some that have a truss structure. They all go together similarly but different. And so you're going to need to know what to expect for that particular manufacturer, but they all have some commonalities. So let's look at what we've got here. First of all, this comes with a kit list. That is huge. Not everybody does that. I really like it, mainly because one of the things it lists is the hardware that we will have. I think that a company that includes a kit list is a better company than those who don't. You'll see here 2 bags of surfaces. We have a front and a rear. Again, not everybody will do that. Sometimes you get what you order. If you order a front, you'll get a front. Lately, we order a screen kit and we get a front and rear, and that's the way that they are shipped. I'm not going to open these up here on camera. I do know, because we work with this vendor enough, that when it says it's a 11 foot something by 20 RP rear projection, that's what should be in the bag. And when it says there's a label that says it's a front, that's what's in the bag. I will tell you that if you are unfamiliar with your vendor, or you have a sketchy vendor, you will actually want to open the bag and make sure that what is in the bag is what it says on the outside of the bag. So that is an important thing. And then here, this is the bulk of it. These are the pieces of the screen frame. When these all open up, you have a top and a bottom with most, just basically half of the sides coming up. And then you have these pieces here, which unfold and then connect through these red pieces to get the top and the bottom of the screen connected. It is important to pay attention when you're building. I'm not going to go into all the building, but it is important to pay attention to top and bottom, because the way that the snaps for the screens and things go and the way that the hardware goes sometimes only go one way. And you'll also see there's some bits of colored tape, and those things will assist in the building. So that's always good to see. Okay, and lastly, we have the hardware. So there are a couple of truss frame grabbers with Chicago bolts so that you can fly these. These are going on legs for this application, but they send it anyways, which is great. And then we have a variety of long, medium, and short wing nuts, bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them. And they actually do call out the specific numbers on the kit list, and that is what we get. This is one of the important things, particularly if you're doing this on show site. It's going to make a difference. You want to know sooner than later that you have enough pieces to assemble the screen. I know from having done these many times that this amount of stuff and matching what is on this kit list is what will be required and be enough to build this and attach it to the legs. So that's what we're looking for. Much easier when there is a kit list, because then you have something to compare to. But if you don't, you need to look to make sure you've got all the pieces of the screen that can assemble the frame, your surfaces, and then your hardware and or rigging as required. All right, and then the last part of the whole thing here, we have the actual legs. So this is what you would have if you are ground supporting. If you're only flying these screens, you might not even get a leg kit, but this particular job is ground supported. So we have a kit with legs, and it's pretty straightforward. There are two legs that will unfold. The screen will attach to it with the thumb screws that we saw with the frame kit, and then it'll Iwo Jima up and lock in place. So this kit is pretty straightforward. Just this, no hardware. Now, depending on the manufacturer and your vendor and that sort of thing, you may have a kit, especially with smaller ones, where the legs come with the screen frame. That's one possibility. Or it may have a different type of leg, but this is pretty common, having standalone legs like this. Oh, there is, there we go, red tape, green tape. So there is color coding there, and they do come with a kit list, which is a little silly since this is just two legs, but at least that's what you know you should expect to see. And that is all the parts of the screen, frame, legs, and dress kit.